The alien huntress moved like a whisper through the humid jungle mist, every step deliberate, every breath measured. Her name was Serenia, sworn guardian of this sanctuary since she was old enough to hold a bow. Her skin shimmered in deep shades of violet, streaked with the filtered glow of sunlight breaking through the canopy, and her long red hair tumbled in fiery waves against the bone armor hugging her lean frame. Golden eyes tracked the steaming wreckage that had violated her world. The pod lay half buried in ferns, metal plating hissing where the humidity kissed still-hot surfaces. Outsider technology, crude compared to the living harmony of her people's tools. Serenia crouched low, fingers tightening around her carved bow as movement stirred at the edge of the wreck. A human emerged. He moved with surprising steadiness for a crash survivor, his lean figure scarred by years of hard work rather than privilege. His name, when he finally offered it, would be Elias Wren, but in that first moment she saw only a trespasser. His dark hair, peppered with premature gray, clung damply to his brow. Hazel eyes swept the clearing with calm precision, pausing on each natural resource like a man cataloging survival strategies instead of panicking. Strange, Serenia murmured in her people's lilting tongue, voice husky with both caution and intrigue. Most outsiders stumbled blindly until predators claimed them. This one bent to gather vines, testing tensile strength with a practiced tug before weaving a rough frame for shelter. His muscles flexed with the same economy of motion she had learned as a hunter. The brush betrayed her. A single rustle, and his head snapped toward her hiding place. Those hazel eyes locked onto hers without flinching. Not fear, not arrogance, simply acknowledgement. "I know you're there," he called, his voice low, edged with grit. "If you're going to kill me, do it cleanly." Serenia held her bow taut, arrow ready to fly. Duty whispered that this outsider must die. Yet something about his composure unsettled her certainty. He wasn't pleading. He wasn't posturing. He was prepared to face death but not surrender to it. She rose from the ferns in one fluid motion, crimson hair catching light like fire. Elias's eyes tracked her carefully, neither lustful nor afraid, only attentive. "You build well for one who fell from the sky," she said. Her golden gaze swept over the half-finished structure. "Tell me, human, why trespass on sacred ground?" "Elias," he replied, lips quirking with a faint, weathered smile. "I'm a botanist, not a soldier. A gravitational anomaly pulled my pod down. I mean no harm. I'm just trying to survive long enough to call for rescue." Serenia tilted her head, listening for deceit. Warriors bragged, merchants schemed, diplomats twisted words into knots. This man's voice was plain, like his work, steady and direct. Her grip on the bow eased slightly. "Survival," she echoed, tasting the foreign syllables. "And you think this will suffice?" "It's a start." His hands never stopped moving, weaving vines into a stronger lattice. "The fiber here is remarkable. Properly distributed, it could bear triple my weight." Despite herself, Serenia's interest stirred. He spoke of the jungle with reverence, not hunger. His calm analysis mirrored her people's teachings, though stripped of predatory instinct. A distant howl rippled through the canopy, deep, guttural, too close. Both their bodies stiffened. Razor claws. A pack was on the move. "They hunt in sixes, sometimes 8, Serenia said before she could stop herself. "Drawn by the scent of blood and metal. Your crash site will lure them soon. Then I'd better work faster." Elias's voice carried urgency but not fear. His fingers quickened over the knots, sweat shining on his scarred cheek. Against every law she'd lived by, Serenia felt her lips curve. Perhaps this one would prove more interesting than she expected. Minutes bled into tense cooperation. When his knots faltered, she stepped forward, crouching beside him. Their hands brushed as she showed him her people's binding, her voice low, instructive. He absorbed every motion with hungry intelligence. Ingenious, he breathed. Perfect distribution. My people call it biomimicry, you've mastered it for generations. Millennia, she corrected softly. The howls grew louder. Branches cracked in the distance. The predators were circling. Elias's jaw tightened. He looked at her once, a question in his eyes. We're about to find out, he muttered. Serenia's golden eyes narrowed, bowstring pulled taut. The first razorclaw crashed into the clearing, 6 feet of scaled muscle, serrated limbs slicing at the air. Her arrow sang, grazing its flank. The beast shrieked, the call of blood summoning its packmates. 7 more, she hissed. Elias didn't flinch. He tore vines free, hands working with impossible speed. Keep them busy, he said evenly. I need 30 seconds. 30 seconds of what? His eyes flicked up, steady as ever. Trust. And maybe a little luck. The pack roared through the undergrowth, eyeless heads swiveling toward them. Serenia loosed another arrow, Elias moved like a man who had always belonged here, and together they braced for the storm. The second razorclaw burst from the shadows, smaller but faster, its claws glinting as it lunged for Elias. Serenia's arrow found its throat mid-charge, a clean strike that dropped the beast in a spray of dark ichor. Still, the undergrowth quaked with the weight of more bodies, the entire pack closing in. Left flank, Elias called, snaring a vine around a trunk, fingers moving with impossible efficiency even under pressure. His mind ticked through angles and leverage like he was solving a living equation. He wasn't just trying to survive. He was adapting, crafting weapons from the jungle itself. A third predator slashed at him. Serenia pivoted, arrow flying true, but the beast's momentum carried forward. Down, she shouted. Elias was already moving, sliding beneath its swipe with uncanny precision. His improvised snare whipped tight around its leg, momentum wrenching the creature sideways into a tree. Bone cracked on impact. Impressive, Serenia muttered under her breath, golden eyes narrowing as he rolled to his feet. He wasn't trained like her kind, but every motion was purposeful, efficient, alive with sharp intelligence. She felt her pulse quicken, not just from battle but from the strange rhythm between them. The remaining beasts circled warily. Their alpha, scarred hide ridged with pale gouges, paced at the edge of the clearing. Its patience was predator's patience, testing defenses, waiting for fatigue to set in. Serenia's shoulder brushed Elias's as she backed toward the shelter. Electricity rippled down her spine at the contact. He was steady heat at her side, and she hated how grounding it felt. They're testing us, she whispered, arrow knocked. Good, Elias murmured. Let them think they're learning our rhythm. Even as she loosed a warning shot, she realized his hands were still moving, weaving vines with quiet urgency. Not random traps, but an organized lattice. A funnel. He was shaping the battlefield the way a botanist shapes an experiment, guiding conditions until outcomes revealed themselves. What's your plan? Serenia demanded, breath quick from exertion. Patience. He smiled faintly, eyes sharp. Razorclaws hunt as a pack but live as rivals. Push them right, they'll fight each other instead of us. Her breath caught. He wasn't trying to overpower them. He was turning their instincts inward, redirecting the violence. No waste, no slaughter, just balance. The elegance of it struck her harder than she expected. The Alpha broke first, charging in a blur of muscle and fury. Left trap, then right, Elias ordered, voice steady. Serenia obeyed without hesitation, her arrows hurting the beast where he needed it. The Alpha stumbled into a vine snare and crashed headlong into a younger male circling to challenge. The collision ignited chaos. Territorial fury ignited within the pack. Snarls and screeches filled the clearing as predators turned teeth on each other. Within moments, the jungle roared with battle, but not aimed at them. Serenia lowered her bow, breath trembling. You turned their strength against them, she whispered, awe softening her voice. Sometimes survival isn't about killing, Elias said, wiping sweat from his brow. Sometimes it's about letting the system fix itself. Her heart thudded. Her people prized dominance, yet here was a man who won through redirection and patience. It shook something loose inside her. The pack scattered, leaving only broken earth and a few bloodied carcasses. The jungle's hum crept back cautiously as silence returned. Elias leaned against a tree, chest rising, sweat carving lines across his face. Serenia's golden eyes lingered too long on the path of each drop. You fight well, she said, but her voice was low, almost softer than she meant. And you, he replied, gaze meeting hers steadily, fight beautifully. The words stole her breath more than any strike could have. They worked together, strengthening the shelter afterward, hands brushing, silence rich with unspoken weight. Elias asked about the sanctuary's secrets, curiosity alight in his hazel eyes. She hesitated. Generations had warned against outsiders, but he listened with a reverence no warrior of her clan ever had. There is something here, she admitted at last, her voice barely more than a whisper. Something older than either of us. A bloom that heals, a bloom that can kill. Sacred beyond measure. Elias stilled, eyes bright with wonder and gravity both. And you guard it, he murmured. Serenia nodded. It is my oath. Before she could say more, the canopy stirred. Another presence dropped silently to the ground, violet skin, lean frame, eyes darting nervously. A fellow clansman. Kalen, she breathed, recognition mixing with dread. The scout bowed low. Guardian, I bring word. The Bloodthorn matriarch demands your presence. She speaks of betrayal. Of outsider contamination. His gaze flicked toward Elias, heavy with accusation. Serenia's jaw tightened. Her sister. Always waiting for a chance to undermine her. She lifted her chin. Tell her I serve the sanctuary, not her ambition. I will come when the jungle allows it. Kalen fled back into the canopy, leaving the air thick with tension. Elias's gaze lingered on her. Your sister. Her silence was answer enough. The night air pressed heavy, the storm between kin already brewing. Serenia's bow remained close, but her thoughts strayed to the man at her side, the man who had faced death without fear, who had turned predators on themselves with nothing but vines and insight. Her world was shifting, and she wasn't sure she wanted to stop it. The jungle slept in uneasy silence, but Serenia could not. She knelt by the shelter's edge, fingers tracing the familiar carvings in her bone blade, golden eyes catching firelight as if the weapon itself burned. Elias rested nearby, coaxing embers into life with the patience of a man who had done the same 1,000 times. His presence steadied her, though she would not admit it aloud. You've been guarding something, he said finally, quiet but certain. Her hand stilled. The sanctuary holds secrets older than stars. My oath binds me to protect them. Elias leaned closer, voice low with reverence rather than demand. Tell me. The words tugged against years of silence. Outsiders brought greed, disruption, ruin. Yet this man had chosen cooperation again and again. His hazel eyes held no conquest, only curiosity that shone like dawn through mist. There is a flower, Serenia whispered, her voice trembling despite herself. The heart bloom. It appears once in a generation. Its petals heal wounds, cure poisons, even extend life. But harvest it wrongly, and it poisons everything it touches. It is both gift and curse. Elias inhaled sharply, wonder blazing across his scarred features. She braced for hunger in his eyes, the greedy light she'd seen in too many traders and raiders. But all she found was all. It's not just biology, he said softly. It's a keystone. The system depends on it. The acknowledgement warmed her chest. He saw what her people had always known, that balance mattered more than possession. But the warmth shattered when branches shifted overhead. A figure dropped into the clearing. Kalen. He bowed low, tension in every line of his violet frame. Guardian. The Bloodthorn matriarch commands you. She accuses you of betrayal, of consorting with this outsider. His glance at Elias was quick, weighted, ashamed. Serenia's jaw tightened. Her sister had always seen her guardianship as challenge, her independence as threat. Now she had found her excuse. Tell her the sanctuary's needs come first, Serenia said, her voice steel under velvet. Not her ambition. Kalen nodded reluctantly, then vanished into the canopy. Elias studied her in silence, then said gently, You're not just guarding the jungle. You're fighting your own blood. Her laugh was bitter. My sister rules with ambition. She sees conquest where I see stewardship. And what do you see in me? He asked. The question cracked her composure. She turned away, hair a scarlet cascade down her back. I see a man who should not matter as much as he does. The night deepened, heavy with unspoken words. When dawn came, so did her sister. The Bloodthorn matriarch strode from the shadows with 6 warriors at her back, their violet skin painted in war marks, weapons gleaming. Her eyes, cold yellow, sharp as a predator's, locked on Serenia. Sister, the matriarch said, her melodic voice twisted with venom. The great guardian, now reduced to keeping company with skyfall vermin. Elias rose slowly, careful not to challenge, but his presence at Serenia's side spoke volumes. He is worthy of trust, Serenia said firmly. He respects the sanctuary more than many of our own. Her sister's lips curled in a sneer. Worthy? I see how your skin flushes, how your breath quickens. You let alien desire cloud your judgment. You would betray your oath for a fleeting touch. The insult burned hotter than any blade. Serenia's bowstring drew taut with audible strain, but Elias's steady hand brushed her arm, grounding her. If blame must fall, he said, voice calm as the jungle itself, put it on me. I chose to survive here, to learn here. She is guilty only of mercy. The warriors shifted uneasily. His honesty undercut the matriarch's venom. No lies. No defensiveness. Just truth. Enough, the matriarch snapped, yellow eyes flashing. You will come before the council. Both of you. Alive if possible, dead if not. Spears lifted. The first thrust came from Kalen, desperate to prove loyalty. Serenia's arrow struck his shoulder, not fatal, but disabling. Her blade flashed as the others surged forward. The shelter became battlefield. Vines snapped, traps triggered. Elias moved with the same precision he'd shown before, turning improvised snares into weapons. One warrior fell into a pit of tangled roots, another tangled in his own spear as Elias redirected his charge. Serenia danced through them with lethal grace, blade and bow both singing, red hair wildfire in the moonlight. The fight ended swiftly. Warriors sprawled, disarmed or bound. Only the matriarch remained, her fury a living storm. "You shame our people," she hissed. "No," Serenia replied, chest heaving, voice steel. "I honor them. By protecting what matters. By choosing wisdom over fear." The matriarch's glare promised war yet to come, but she melted into the jungle shadows with the tattered remnants of her pride. Silence returned, broken only by Serenia's ragged breathing and Elias's quiet hands binding wounds. She looked at him, saw sweat streaking his brow, and felt something shift. This was no longer chance survival. This was alliance. Her path was no longer just guardian. It was something more dangerous, and more precious. The air grew heavy with anticipation. Days passed in uneasy rhythm as Serenia and Elias tended the shelter, guarded the perimeter, and waited for signs. And then the jungle changed. Morning mists shimmered with faint iridescence. Night-blooming flora pulsed with a rhythm that vibrated through bone and blood alike. Serenia's heart knew the truth before her lips shaped the words. "It's time," she whispered one dawn, her red hair damp with dew, golden eyes shining. The heart bloom stirs. Together, they traveled deeper into the sanctuary than Elias had ever dared. The forest opened into a grove shaped like an amphitheater of ancient trees, their branches woven together by centuries. At the grove's center glowed the heartbloom, a flower larger than a human's head, petals shimmering crimson and gold, every breath of wind stirring its light like a heartbeat. The air tasted of ozone and sweet sap, electric and sacred. Elias's voice trembled. "It's beautiful. It is the soul of this place," Serenia replied, her voice reverent. "It heals, but only when treated with care. Mishandled, it destroys." He approached slowly, every movement steeped in respect. He didn't reach to pluck, didn't dare touch, he simply observed, eyes wide with wonder. Serenia felt her chest ache at the sight of him. A man who could see beauty without needing to possess it. But shadows shifted. Her sister stepped into the grove. The blood-thorn matriarch, eyes burning with triumph, spear tipped with crystalline venom humming in her grip. A dozen elite warriors flanked her. "So this is where you hide," she sneered, her voice cutting the silence like a blade. "With your alien pet, hoarding power that belongs to our clan." Serenia stepped forward, bow lifted. "The heartbloom is not a weapon. It is balance. It is life." "Balance?" The matriarch laughed, cruel and sharp. "With this, we will conquer tribes, build an empire, rule for centuries. That is what it was meant for." "No," Serenia said, fire in her voice. "That is what you crave. Not what the heartbloom was given." Her sister gestured sharply. "Take them both. Secure the bloom." The warriors surged. Elias moved first, voice sharp and sure. "To the right." Serenia obeyed without hesitation. He had studied the grove's terrain, memorized fissures and traps hidden by moss. Warriors stumbled into natural snares, vines whipping, roots collapsing underfoot. Elias guided her like conductor of a living symphony, while Serenia struck with lethal grace. Arrows and blades sang in tandem with his precise directions. The grove itself became their ally. One by one, the matriarch's warriors fell back, disarmed, injured, or caught in the jungle's traps. Until only she remained, standing before the heart bloom, her yellow eyes feverish. "You cannot stop me, sister," she hissed. "I will unleash its true power." She raised her crystalline spear toward the bloom. Elias lunged, tackling her aside. The spear clattered against stone, its venomous hum silenced. He pinned her with desperate strength. "It's not a weapon," he growled, voice raw. "It's an ecosystem. A life. It must be shared, not stolen." The matriarch writhed, but Serenia was already there, blade at her throat. For a heartbeat, silence reigned. Rage flickered in her sister's eyes, but beneath it smoldered humiliation. "We will not kill you," Serenia said, voice trembling with both sorrow and conviction. "But you will not rule here. You will not poison what we protect." Bound and stripped of her weapon, the matriarch was dragged away by the surviving warriors, their loyalty cracked. Serenia's shoulders sagged, breath shuddering. The grove exhaled with her, its rhythm steady once more. At sunrise, they carried the Heartbloom's gift to a hidden cave, where neutral elders awaited. Serenia placed it in their care with reverence. Not for conquest. For balance. For healing. Elias took only a small sample, carefully preserved. "Knowledge," he murmured, "not possession." Weeks later, his repaired beacon sang through the stars. When the reply came, it was not a warship but a research vessel. Diplomats, scientists, healers, they arrived with hands empty of weapons, eager to learn rather than conquer. Elias stood at Serenia's side as the jungle greeted these newcomers. "I must return," he told her, his hazel eyes dark with emotion. "But I will come back. Not as a castaway, but as a bridge." She touched his scarred cheek, her golden eyes steady. "And I will wait. Not as a lonely guardian, but as leader of a new path." Their embrace was long, fierce, a silent vow. He left, but not for long. When he returned, he was both botanist and ambassador, and she was no longer merely guardian but a voice of her people. Together, they stood on a cliff beneath twin moons, the jungle stretching endless and alive before them. The Heartbloom thrived. The sanctuary endured. Their two worlds, once strangers, now intertwined. And in that quiet moment, Serenia knew with certainty, their story was not survival, not conquest, but the birth of something new. And so, from the smoke of a crash and the whispers of the jungle, something extraordinary was born. Serenia, the guardian bound by oath and blood, and Elias, the botanist cast adrift among stars, found each other in the crucible of survival. Their story was not just of danger and battle, but of discovery, of realizing that trust can grow even where fear rules, that respect can be more powerful than any weapon. The Heartbloom, once a secret whispered only through generations of guardians, became the symbol of a new age. No longer a prize to be fought over, it became a promise, that life is meant to be preserved, not exploited. Through Elias, the knowledge of the sanctuary reached across the stars, not as plunder, but as gift. Through Serenia, her people stepped beyond rivalry and conquest, choosing guardianship and cooperation over domination. In the end, the sanctuary endured, not because of walls or weapons, but because two hearts, once alien to each other, chose to walk the same path. Serenia and Elias stood as proof that survival is not merely about strength, but about the courage to choose understanding over fear. And perhaps, that is the real lesson of their story, that the greatest victories are not those won in blood, but those that bind us together across all divides. If you've enjoyed this journey through the jungle, through battle and discovery, then don't let it end here. Join us as we explore more tales of survival, of love, of strange worlds and even stranger bonds. Hit that subscribe button, give this story a like, and share it with friends who crave adventures among the stars. Because this is only the beginning, and you won't want to miss what comes next.